Audio Jungle.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Cobra's Den. Today is the second collaboration on this channel with myself and Creative Precious Metals, and it's a very interesting chat. So the actual question I started with was, with the price of gold and silver going down so quickly over the last couple of weeks, has this got him worried? Well, it developed into a massive conversation with loads of subjects, including AI, CBDCs, and all sorts. So keep watching, because this one really develops.
Wicked.
So here we are, episode 3 of the collaboration between Creative Precious Metals and myself, Cobra Stacker. Creative Precious Metals, thank you again for joining me. How you been?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Cobra Stacker. Really cool. Thank you again for. I really look forward to doing these, buddy. It's really cool, really great fun. Yeah, looking forward to doing the episode and ready for whatever you're going to ask me.
Are you nervous about what I'm going to ask you?
Oh, I probably will be, mate, and I'll probably make a complete hash of it. But hey ho, it doesn't matter.
Well, that's what it's all about. It's all about just having a chat and seeing where we go with it. But today, what I wanted to do, so last week on your channel, you went through the points of the youth and how we can make things better for them, or how we can do things to teach them. But today I wanted to talk about the price of gold and silver. And obviously you would have noticed, and I'm sure everyone else has, and welcome guys, whoever's watching. The price of gold and silver over the last few weeks has dropped dramatically. I mean, gold at the moment, spot price is about 1,513, whereas I remember 3 to 4 weeks ago, or maybe a little longer, we were up in the 1,600s. And silver has gone from £21 over a period of a month and a half down to 1768. So my first question to you is, does this worry you?
Okay, that's a great question, and I should have said welcome anyone that's watching, both of Cobra Stacker's channel subscribers and new subscribers, and my subscribers and new subscribers. So, answer to your question: does it worry me? No, it doesn't, basically. And the reason why it doesn't worry me is that if I was worried about short and sharp drops and rises in the precious metal market, then I probably would not have got in it in the first place, if I'm deadly honest with you. And the reason I would say that is, as you know, and as I've spoken about on my channel before, and together with you, I see this as a long-term thing. And when I did my research right at the beginning, probably a year ago, maybe now, a year and a half ago, roughly, thinking, okay, what can I invest some money into? Obviously, gold and silver was one of the things I looked at, and part of that research was to see, okay, how does this fit into my goal? Well, my goal was long term. Any investment I've made in precious metals, as I've documented before, is always going to be long term. So, what I looked at was historical record, to be honest, Cobra Stacker, and yes, there is volatility like in most investments, but what I wanted to do is, are we going up and to the right, for argument's sake? And what I mean by that, when I look at a historical record, and it's a shame I haven't quite got my head around this technology, because I'd actually show you what I've got planned to look at if we looked at charts, but I don't know how to share it, so I'm really sorry to everybody. Maybe I'll get my head around that soon. But what I did was I looked at on Atkinson's website, and you can probably find it on most websites. It lets you look at gold and silver prices, and you can basically look at the day, the week, the month, the year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and you can custom look at it as well. And what I did was just did a custom look as far back as their records went, and I think it's about 1996 to present day. Let the chart draw out, and basically from 76 to 2023, it's just up and to the right, with a lot of volatility, especially in silver, on its way. So yes, would it worry me? Yes, if I've got that bit wrong. But when I look at it, I think no, over time, historically, it's a good thing to do, and I've just got to accept that there will be ups and downs on its way, if that makes sense. And it's exactly the same for gold. Not quite as volatile on gold, but yes, again, up and to the right. Starts at, I think back in 76 it was £200-300 an ounce, and as we all know, we're up to 1500. Yes, it has gone down recently, but that's all part of that up and down volatility that you should expect, really, to be fair, when you're investing in anything.
I think you're right, and I think we see it with stocks and shares, we see it with crypto, and we see it with gold and silver. And the reason I brought this question up, and the reason I wanted to talk about this subject, was there is a lot of new stackers at the moment. And what I thought, and what I had a little worry about, was not worry as such, but a bit of a thought about, was with the new stackers coming in, they may have started literally a couple of months ago, bought ounces of gold or half ounces or whatever it may have been, or even silver, at the higher price, and within a month they've seen a loss on all their stuff immediately. Now, we don't know how long it will take for this gold and silver spot price to go up, but they could get disheartened very quickly, and for several reasons they could sell, and that being one of them, that it's dropped. Oh my God, this is a waste of money, this is rubbish, I'm going to sell it and get out of it. And I think you touched on the subject there, that this is why it has to be a long-term holding, rather than trying to do it on a short term or just watching spot on the short term.
Yeah, definitely, buddy. It's really interesting, really, because we're all precious about our money. Money's not easy to get, and so yeah, if we spend £20, we want to get value for money. And I think in probably over the last decade, more so, we're really all probably looking, I want real good value, but we want that good value plus, everyone's lying if they say they don't want it to go up, plus we want a return. But I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned since investing as a rule is I need to be very patient and do my research, because otherwise it's just one big gamble. And if you let emotions get in the way, there's probably two reasons for that. One, you shouldn't be investing. Two, you're over investing, or you're stretching, or you're borrowing to try and make a quick buck, and that's through all of investment. Yeah, that's I think that's a real big thing to try and learn. And yeah, you will look. I've got loads of stories when I first started investing, especially in crypto, where you get caught in the fud of everything. Oh, it's going to the moon, it's going to do this, it's going to do that, and yeah, of course, I don't blame anyone to think, oh, I really want to get out of my financial circumstances and be free and be rich and whatever, but it just doesn't work like that.
No, you're absolutely right, and this it's mentioned many times, and I'll say it again. Gold and silver is not a get rich quick scheme. It really isn't. It is a long-term holding. But you mentioned a couple of times there that we all want gold and silver to go up, and I agree. Over a period of time, we do. But now that it's dropped down, do you see an opportunity when it drops, or do you not see any opportunities?
Okay, that's really cool. Now, as you know, talking offline with you, I've got a little bit more extra money that I would want to invest, and I'm being a little bit particular over how I want to extend and broaden my portfolio. But one of those things, and I think I might have mentioned it in the last collab we did, but I've definitely mentioned it in one of my videos before. What I did personally was try to get my core portfolio to a position that I was happy with and comfortable with, which I think I've done, and I'm happy and comfortable with. Does that mean I'm not going to add any more? Hell no. Of course I'm going to add more as and when I get that right feeling to do so. So as I was just talking to you before we went and to recall on this video, I will look at, I'll try to learn and understand trading trends and apply that to my philosophy on how I think the market could move with everything that's going on in the world, and then be disciplined to think, okay, I want to get back in at a certain stage. When do I want to get back in? Now, I'm no expert, and I'm very young at doing all this, but it's been one brilliant exercise for me to control my own ego and discipline, and be very patient and actually come up with a strategy and stick to it, which is quite hard for me to do personally because I'm quite impulsive, as we've talked about before. And but it's worth it. And yeah, maybe I might not get it right, but I've got my core. It doesn't matter to me now. And I might get a few things wrong, or I might overbuy at certain little places. But the great thing is I'm beginning to think about what I'm doing rather than just impulsively do what I'm doing. Does that make sense?
It does, it does. And what you just said is exactly right, and I am probably the worst for it. So again, one of the biggest advice is to buy at a steady pace. So fix yourself a budget and every month buy at that pace. To be fair on that subject though, when the price drops like this, I do see an opportunity to buy a bit more if you can afford it. And the reason I say this, for example, I've got a video which is scheduled to be released in the next 15 or 20 minutes, I believe. And it shows where I bought the bull of clarence, for instance, from the Royal Mint, which was my mistake to buy it from the Royal Mint rather than from one of the bullion dealers. But I paid £1,700 for a 1 ounce bull of clarence Tudor Beast coin, gold. And immediately went on to Shards and saw it for, I believe, 1564. And I thought, what have I, no, sorry, 1664. And I thought, what have I done? Anyway, then the price of gold started dropping, and I kept watching on Shards for this bull, and it went down to 1620. So £80 less than I paid. So I bought it. Reason being that when you average the two coins out, both coins have cost me 1640. So I look at it that whatever I've bought in the last, say, 7-8 months, whatever I've been stacking and collecting for, the price has been reasonably high. Now, if I start buying a few bits now when the price has dropped, it averages out the actual cost of what I've got. But again, I'll emphasize that's if you've got the extra money to do it. If not, stick to your budget, even if the price goes down or up.
100% agree. It's a weird one, really, trying to get your head around. And I think one of the biggest things I've had to learn, Cobra Stacker, is patience and really trying to understand and realize to myself that this is gold and silver is no quick, rich scheme. It really isn't. You may be lucky, and I will say you could be lucky and buy in, well, for argument's sake, when it went through the roof back in 2006, 7, 8, it went on that big run after the great financial crisis. It went on a massive run over 4 or 5 years. Well, that's great. But there isn't any, I haven't seen on any charts, unless you've got a ton of money to make a little bit of a ton of money. I haven't seen anywhere on any charts that just by buying one coin, you're going to double the value of that coin, or even half the value. Well, maybe half on the odd occasion, but anything more than half the value of that coin, pretty rarely even over 10, 20 years, you know, like when you look at those little peaks and troughs. But over that 10 or 20 years, you've probably made, possibly historically, I don't know, 20, 30, 40%, which isn't bad. It isn't bad. But the thing is what I really needed to get and realize that you're going to make really big money if you've got really big money to invest. But if you've only got, for argument's sake, if you can just afford 1 silver ounce coin, you're not going to get rich in a week. You're not going to get rich, you know, and you're just buying one every week, you know, even for 5 years. You are not, unless something seriously goes wrong in the financial environment of the world and pushes silver up to these silly figures that a lot of people mention, you're not going to get rich just doing that. Now, if I was buying £10,000 worth of silver every week, like some rich people do or institutions do, they're probably making a fair few quid, on a monthly basis or on a yearly basis. We have to get real with ourselves. I believe I've had to get really real with myself and look at why I'm really, really doing this with silver and gold. And it could be slightly different to how I look at other assets I invest in.
Yeah, absolutely agree, totally agree. And that's the whole thing with gold and silver. It's a long-term investment. And yes, you will get an increase as the price goes up over 5, 10 years. And you look at people like Backyard Bullion, and he'll show you some coins, 1 ounce coins that he may have picked up for £900 or £800. And over that time now, they've doubled in their price because obviously spot has gone up. But then the question is, why has spot dropped? Let's say by 100, £115 on gold, and we'll just stick to gold because it's a bigger sort of denomination of money on this. But why do you think it has dropped all of a sudden? Do you have any thoughts on that one?
Wow, there's a good question, buddy. Oh, mate. Okay, I've got to be really honest here. I can't give you a strategic, well experienced, knowledgeable, factual, in depth answer to that because I don't know. Because I believe there's a lot of denominations that get played out in people's industries that I really don't understand, and it has an effect on things. If I was to be in from my very short period of time of looking into all of this, I I think I'll be right in saying, as a rule, and I'm going to talk about the dollar here. As a rule, when a dollar does well, the price of gold and silver doesn't do so good. When the dollar's not doing too particularly well, then normally that you see, and I don't 100% know the reason why, but normally you see the flight to gold and silver, which means that the prices go up on gold and silver. That's as far as what I can tell happens, and that sort of runs true when you look at when I was talking about those charts. You know, when a dollar's not doing so well, the gold and silver price seems to react, especially gold. That said, I would look at that and say, okay, what's going on economically in the world, globally, financially? I believe that one of the biggest brands in the world to date, probably since 1970, is it 1972 when we got off the gold standard, somewhere around there, 73, 74, 71.
71.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, since 1971. The dollar, I think, is the biggest global brand going. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. It controls the world. It's the world's currency. It's a petrodollar as well, so it's used for all petrol and any sort of trading like that. And it is the trading denomination in the world.
Okay.
What we see, you are correct. You are correct in a lot of ways. When the dollar is down, gold and silver does well. People rush to gold and silver. People buy more gold and silver, and the price goes up. When the dollar does well and it's doing okay and it seems stable, the price drops. And if you look at what has happened over the last 10, 11 months, the last 10 months, the Federal Exchange have increased the interest rate month by month. And then recently they had their review and they left it on a pause. So they paused a rate hike. And that is why we've had the drop in gold at the moment. So basically, by pausing it, they've made the dollar look stronger again or more stable again for a period of time. Now, what you have to look at is the Federal Exchange did say this is a pause, and there probably will be 2 more hikes this year. So we can expect gold to react to that when it happens in the next couple of months. So there's that. That is one of the reasons for the dip. The other one I actually discovered from other stackers who have been stacking for a long time, and it's quite interesting to hear that in a way the gold price is seasonal. So this time of year we often find a drop in the gold price, and then towards the end of the year we see it rising again, and it seems to be a slow sort of pattern of that as well. So whatever the actual price is, you'll see drops and peaks through the year, which seem to correlate yearly. And then there's other influences, as I said, like interest rates rising or being held or dropping. Now, eventually, what we are going to see is once we get out of this recession, which we will, because as we've said before, they've basically kicked the can down the road as well with the national debt of America, which is in trillions. Like ourselves in England, we're not in the greatest state with our national debt, but they've kicked it down the road again, and therefore interest prices, after a couple more hikes to control inflation, will start dropping again, and then we'll see gold stabilize or maybe drop a little bit again. So there are several factors. And you were basically right, you touched on what they are, and the dollar has a massive control over gold and silver's price.
Yeah, for sure, mate. It's interesting about the seasons as well, because obviously there's a historical record there which I didn't know about, but that's a great one for me to do a little bit of research on. But what I was going to say was getting back to the brand of the dollar. Now we all know that this fiat dollar system can't last forever, and what the reason why I sort of brought it up is like this is my hunch. My hunch is that the dollar is trying to desperately hang on to power, if that makes sense. And we'll see these, these little fluctuations while the people that have a massive interest in protecting that brand called the US dollar will continue to try and protect it until, getting back to my chessball game, I'm sure in the background they're coming up with another idea for our future, and until they're ready to push that through and probably work it in a more digital way. So it doesn't surprise me that something that's pegged to how the dollar reacts, which obviously gold and silver does. It doesn't surprise me to see it go up and down like a yo-yo. If anyone watching, if you find a website and actually can plot a graph, if you draw a line from the lowest point to the highest point, it doesn't, both silver's a little bit different, but if you look at gold on its own, it doesn't really drop below that diagonal line from left to right. So as long as it's not doing that across a long-term period, then I'm pretty happy and confident that whatever I'm investing in, gold especially, and silver to a degree, I'm doing the right thing over a long period of time. But as I keep saying, patience and learning is key here. It is definitely no quick rich scheme, and I'm sure in the future, I've been asking a few questions, doing a few little polls on how people are seeing the future on my channel. And but I'm sure in the future it's going to work itself out, and there may be new things coming through that are worth investing in as well, to complement the new way we're going to do stuff. But yeah, gold and silver, very volatile sometimes, but in the long run, it's only one way at the moment. Historically, it's up and to the right.
I agree. You're absolutely right. And I think just going back on the beginning of your talk just there, you're right. Look, we know the dollar, the pound, most currencies are in trouble. They all owe money. The problem is, as you said, they're waiting for something to be able to take over. And we all know, I believe, we all know what that is, which will be CBDCs. And this is why when there's so many conspiracy theories about CBDC, do not get me wrong. I think there is a lot for us to look out on them. There is a lot of us who are wary about certain things with CBDCs. but I think it is the natural way forward. I don't think there's another way out, because eventually it is not sustainable to keep borrowing against this dollar or the pound, and keep the debt rising and rising and rising, because we can't really afford to pay off the interest rate, let alone the actual bottom line debt. Therefore, it will have to go to CBDCs in the end. And again, as you come to the end of what you were just saying, gold and silver always store value, and they will go up. And then we have to see how the new formation happens and how it affects gold and silver, because that one, no one really knows. I think I am very weary about having a whole system of money, and I've spoken to you about this before with Bitcoin. I'm weary about having a whole system of money on a computerized system for two reasons. One, because it would be the first place I would attack if I was an enemy, would be to break down the computer system or electronics in a country, which would totally disable it. Can you imagine if everything was stored electronically and electricity was wiped out in that area just for a war or something like that? Well, it would wipe out so many different things, including your whole financial base. But the other one, and this is a subject we'll probably talk about in the future, but I'll just touch on it now, is AI. And I don't know how much you've been looking into this or you've learned about it, but AI has now developed sentience. And there is a lot going on with Google and several other major companies about how they're going to control how quickly AI has developed and how quickly it's learning. And now if AI wanted to cause a problem for humanity, again, it would hit the systems. And just to stop the whole banking system, if we went on to CBDCs and it was all electronic, would be the easiest way to do it.
Mate, oh God, you've opened the can of worms in that.
I know.
That statement.
Conversation go.
Can I just? I'm going to go back to CBDCs if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing actually, because everyone, not everybody, but a lot of people are either ask questions about. They're all fearful of CBDCs, which we all know, the possibility of what that can bring. My question that I'm asking myself at the moment is if the dollar, the US dollar, pound, wherever you live in the world, but it's all based around the US dollar at the moment. If the US dollar is going to lose its purchasing power and collapse, and they've got to move on to something else. Now, a lot of people say, yes, CBDCs. Well, what is going to be a CBDC? Is it just going to be another electronic version of a US dollar?
Absolutely, I believe so. So basically, it will be, you won't have paper money anymore, or coins like, or 50p or a dollar coin or whatever. It will be all electronic. So look, in the same way at the moment we use credit cards, we use debit cards, all the money, say, in a bank. But instead of actually holding any money, it will be all computerized. So it will be digitally inputted. So the government or the Bank of England or, the Reserve will produce, let's say, just talking numbers there, 1 million CBDC pounds, electronic pounds. And that's distributed between 100 people. And that's what they use to spend, etc. So all finances will be directed through this computer system. So you spend it in a shop, you pay with a card or whatever, and that money is transferred from your electronic account into his electronic account. And that is how it will be working. And basically, if you're paid a wage, your company will pay your wage into your electronic account. So it's just really a very fast system of digitalizing money, but it's again not backed by anything. So there again, we have the same sort of problem. It's a fiat currency, but digitalized.
Yeah, and that's my dilemma, with it, because currently we've got everything digital to a degree anyway, what we're doing. Now, if we do go down the CBDC route, which quite rightly you quite nicely explained there, if it isn't backed by anything, we haven't actually gone forward in a financial way at all. So for CBDCs to be successful, one, I would have thought it's got to be backed by something new. I don't know whether they're going to go back to gold, silver, or maybe another asset, or are they going to just reset and start again?
Well, this is the whole point, isn't it? It's at the moment, from what I can gather, it's not going to be backed by anything. A lot of the BRICS nations are creating now a centralized banking system for them to deal with each other in their own currencies, but digitally. There are so many things going on, but to go back to a gold standard will be very hard, because with the amount of money and the population and the amount of people, there isn't enough physical gold to actually do it. I mean, literally, you couldn't give an ounce of gold to every person on the planet right now.
No.
There isn't enough gold to do it. So therefore, if you couldn't do that, what's it worth? It's just, you are absolutely right. It's a really awkward one to try and work out. A very, very awkward one. But yeah, I do think it's going to be another thing which isn't backed. But I don't know if you've noticed how all the countries in the BRICS nations at the moment have been buying gold at a phenomenal rate. India, China, Russia have been piling up on the gold reserves.
They have, and the Western banks have been, central banks have been doing exactly the same as well, buddy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting what you just said about there's not enough gold. My thinking, you're right. There probably isn't at today's valuation.
Yes.
So, what does that mean? Then the price of gold would be very well be undervalued, and which means that to do that and go back to a gold standard, they'd have to make the price of gold or silver or whatever. We use gold as an example. It's going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
And then your fractional gold is just going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing, isn't it?
But this is why they won't do it, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Why they won't tie gold to the CBDC or anything else. There cannot be a gold standard again. I mean, literally, you would be talking, I don't know, it would cost millions, but, you know, where do you, all right, you've got to compare it to what a CBDC pound or US dollar would buy. So let's say a CBDC dollar would buy a loaf of bread. How many dollars would you need to buy that gold? You've really got to think about it and work it out in a logical way. And I will go away and think about this now.
Yeah.
For them to back it by gold, you know, it would be an extortion amount.
Well, I think on hypothetically, when I've watched a couple of information on the maths with it all, this is where you can start looking at pricing gold at $20,000 an ounce, $30,000 an ounce, because it has to be.
Yeah.
It has to match the fiat. I mean, you're talking about trillions and trillions, well, hundreds and hundreds of trillions of dollars out there worldwide.
Yeah.
So, mate, I mean, if it happened, I'd be like very happy chappy, and I'm sure you would be too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a really cool. That's another great thing that I look at, you know, just sidetracking from it, but it's relevant, is if something extreme like this happens, I'm in. It doesn't matter whether I'm in a little bit or quite a bit, I'm in there.
Well, I mean, the worries that come from people are things like they can control your money. And yes, they can see exactly what you spend your money on. I understand that. But I think a mistake that some people are making is that governments were going to use incentivized things like vouchers. So they would say, look, we are going to give you, for instance, 100 CBDC pounds, but you can only spend it on, I don't know, for instance, buying a car. We're bringing out electric cars, and we're going to incentivize you to buy an electric car by giving you 100 or 1,000 CBDC towns. So they give you that, but they give you it in a voucher form in a way. And you can't go and spend that on food or anything else. But if you do buy an electric car, you'll get £1,000 off using the CBDC voucher exchange type of thing. And then people have jumped on that and gone, basically, no, what they're saying is they can control where you spend your money. Yes, all the CBDC money is programmable, but your money will be your money to spend, but they can program certain CBDCs and give it out to people as incentives to do certain things. And this is where the conspiracies come in, and this is where the problems come in. So I'm playing devil's advocate on it. I do have my worries, don't get me wrong. I absolutely have my certain worries about CBDC. And it's exactly what I said. It's that if the system went down for any reason, a war or anything like that, how are you going to say, well, actually, I had $1 million in CBDC dollars? Well, prove it.
Yeah.
You understand where I'm going with that?
Oh, mate, yeah, I do. And we've spoken on the telephone about these sort of things. I've often thought that, you know, if we're going to go totally digital, you know, like Bitcoin and all that sort of thing, yeah, there is that massive cyber attack that can take the whole internet down. But when we was talking about it, I said to you, well, if the whole internet went down and there was a big cyber attack, I think we're all in the shit.
No, absolutely. But with
regardless,
the gold and silver, you hold yourself in the shit or not. You're still holding that gold and silver, and someone will take that as a trade. But you're holding a little what are they called, USB saving stick thing,
yeah,
which has apparently got $1 million on it.
Yeah.
It means nothing. So yes, we will be in a world of pain. But if I walked around with a backpack full of gold and silver, I'd have a chance to rebuild. If you walked out with a backpack full of USB sticks with millions of crypto pounds on it, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, which is why I'm a great advocate of a broad portfolio, you know.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you've got to cover all angles. The only thing I will say is, I mean, I'm really going to the extreme here now, Cobra Stacker. If the shit really hits the fan, mate, I've either got to have a lot of guns to protect my silver and gold, because as soon as because one of the, and this is an important thing I think about, is if there is this big apocalypse that everyone goes on about, and yeah, you can't just shrug it off because anything's a possibility. There comes a time where if I'm the only one in my village where I live with a decent bit of silver and gold that I can go and rebuild my wealth on, I'm going to become a massive target.
Absolutely, I agree. I agree. But here's the thing. Here's what I want to say to you. It's not. Look, I'm not even talking about an apocalyptic event.
Yeah,
I'm not even talking end of the world. Look,
Yeah,
we've had 2 world wars before, and even us in this country suffered majorly with the bombings in London and all that sort of stuff. Majorly. But we pulled together as a people and we got through it. Now, I don't know with society these days how much we pulled together. But in saying that, I think if we were in a situation like that, we would pull together. My problem is, as I say, it's not, you know, this isn't the big apocalyptic zombies walking around and all that sort of stuff that I'm thinking of. But in the same, and I'm joking about that, by the way, but in the same token, what I'm saying is, if there was precision nuclear strikes, which can happen, we know it's a possibility. We've had atomic bombs drop before in certain things, and that didn't end the world. And it wasn't a case of, you know, everyone in Hiroshima, or just outside of Hiroshima, everyone in Hiroshima didn't really survive. But just outside didn't go into a panic of just falling apart. The country survived. So if we're in that sort of situation, and let's say, I'm not even going to say Russia, any country, whatever happens, does a cyber attack on us and breaks down our financial system when we are running totally on CBDCs, that's a major problem. We can get through it, but it is a problem. It's a risk that worries me, that keeping my money electronically totally gives me no security whatsoever.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Which you know, this is really important for me on my journey. You know, when I really got hooked into looking at all of this, even if you Google now, some of the most Googled things are all this the electronic stuff. It seems to be the in fad. But for me personally, what was really cool was on my journey when I was looking at crypto, and I've been, I don't hold it back. I'm quite a firm supporter of Bitcoin. But on that journey, it moved me to look at, okay, if that doesn't work, what else is out there? How else can I protect it? What else can I put in my portfolio? And that just automatically took me to gold really quickly, and it took me to silver, and that took me on that journey. And I thought, okay, yeah, I can see the advantage of all of this, having it in my portfolio. And this is personally. That doesn't go back to everyone go out there and get in debt and get yourself up to your eyeballs in silver, gold, and whatever you want else. But it's a great message there. It isn't all about. It isn't just all about backing up the bus and sticking it in one asset, thinking you're going to get mega rich. What if that doesn't work? You've got to have a backup plan, and that's what I love about precious metals. It's lovely to look at. It's really super cool to get out, and I hate putting it away. I want to leave it out all the time, but obviously I don't. But it has got a benefit, and if I don't use that benefit personally in my lifetime, because I have to, then it's going to be equally a great benefit to whoever I pass it on to.
I agree. I mean, I started the opposite way around from you. I started with gold and silver because I wanted that solid thing, tangible thing, should we say, that I could have, which I knew was a protection of my money. A slight at the moment hedge against inflation, and that was great for me. And now, obviously, we're chatting to you as well. I'm looking the other way now. I'm looking at Bitcoin and how it works, but I know I have my basic protection behind me. I have stacked enough and collected enough that I know if I was in trouble tomorrow, I've got a substantial amount behind me in gold and silver. And therefore, okay, let's have a little look now at some stocks and shares. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. So I've gone the other way, and I can play with them a bit more without any fear, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. And there's a great message there for you young, new, old, new, anyone new wanting to get in, stacking, collecting for whatever reason you want to. And that's, if you've got the time, slowly build it, get your core base going, and then be a little bit more comfortable. Like Cobra Stacker just said, he's now comfortable to explore other ideas. And it's so important, isn't it, Cobra Stacker?
Absolutely. And again, there's so many times I've said it, and I will keep repeating it. I know it gets boring. Don't just look at the speed that I have bought at, because there were other circumstances for me which enabled me to do it. Yes, by all means, look at a certain thing and say, I really like that, I really enjoyed it. But for you, you must look at your budget, you must look at your capabilities and build that time frame, especially for you young'uns, in your 20s. Oh, future investments. I mean, I am so impressed with that guy. He is 26, I believe, or just turned 27 years old. And he has got such a good head on his shoulders in investing in gold, silver, property. And I really respect him, because it's at his age, as I said before, if I had done what he was doing, I'd be in a very good position. So yeah, that's someone to look out for, future investment. I don't know if you've heard of him, bro, but if you haven't, have a look at him. He's absolutely top notch. But this is what I'm saying, the young'uns need to do that. They need to get that base behind them, solidify themselves, so if in any sort of emergency or any sort of problem, they have some backup behind them. And then just start slowly playing with other things. But the other thing that you said, precious metals, was learn everything before you go into it. Look into it, take your time, chill, read, watch YouTube, be careful with that, but learn, and then go into different things.
Yeah, mate, it's starting to make it one of my goals with my channel now, to try and point people, especially the youngsters. We've said all this before. You know, you got a young family, I've got a young family. They've all got this great journey to go on, hopefully, if they can stay nice, fit and healthy. And yeah, they've got to try and paddle their way through the rapids of all the distractions of life. And yeah, future investments. I have heard of him. I do watch it. I was trying to watch his lives earlier on today, but they had a few problems with it. But yeah, what he's doing, 365 is doing. The Silver Stacker, is it? Silver Stacker is another up and coming guy. You've got McDonald Bullion. They're all young guys, you know, and I think I admire them all. You know, I don't have to believe everything they say. I don't expect anyone else to believe anything I say. You know, but I have total admiration for their attitude to try and do something to help them through those rapids. I just will never not support that ever.
Absolutely agree. And you're right. You don't have to believe everything from everyone. Every single one of us has an opinion. And we have the right to that opinion, and we have the right to express that opinion. And then it is up to every individual to watch all these different opinions and form their own opinion. And you don't have to agree. But what I do love about this community is whether we agree with each other or don't agree with each other on every subject, we support each other. And that's a great thing in this community. But so I mean, the subject of this one was the price drop of gold and silver, and I don't even know which way we've gone on that one now, bro. You know, this is our normal conversations, everyone. We just
yeah, and there's
flow like a river.
I know, yeah, but this is the beauty of it, you know. This is just off the cuff, not scripted.
Yes,
and just general talk, because we'd have this conversation if we met down a pub. We'd have this conversation if we was having a picnic in the park. We'd have this conversation if we was at work having a fag at lunchtime, if you smoke or whatever, you know. Or so it's so cool. I love it, mate. I absolutely love it. One thing you did very briefly touch on was AI.
yes.
And I think you was talking about how AI could possibly influence things going forward. Now, I know we've spoke about this through different conversations, and you opened my eyes up to is it ethical AI?
Ethical AI. So there's investments you can make in AI companies at the moment, but what you need to look at, because there is all this big conversation going on, that if you are going into putting money into stocks for AI, you must look for the companies which are ethical AI companies. And what that means is that they are thinking along the lines of how much control they allow the AI to have, how they make sure that we as a human society, race, etc., is kept safe. Because I am not kidding you. If you watch into some of this stuff, it was quite amazing how it happened. The first AI robot arms, there was, I think, 20 or 30 put in a row with some kids' toys in front of it, and they were told to pick up items out of these boxes. Now, they weren't giving any more information than that, and they had to learn as they went. Now, every day, the guy who started this would walk past these machines, and they were not able to pick up the actual toys. And he used to laugh with his colleagues and say, billions of dollars have been spent on this, and they can't even pick up a toy. One day he walked in, and one robot arm, and these are artificial intelligence, had managed to pick up a yellow ball. So again, he laughed and he said to them, yeah. And you can watch all this. He does a whole interview. It's very interesting. I will try and put in the description a couple of videos on this subject if it interests you. Picked up a yellow ball, and he laughed with his colleagues and said, look, billions of pounds, we've managed to pick up one yellow ball. The next morning, that robot arm had taught all the others, and all the robot arms were picking up yellow balls. Now, the point of this is how quickly the intelligence develops. And there is a robot now where one member, a very high up position in Google, had a conversation with this robot about whether the robot was sentient and whether it was alive. Now, he said it was the most in-depth conversation he had with anyone, but this was a robot. And when he finished, he reported to Google immediately that this robot is sentient, meaning it is alive. It is literally alive. It knows about its existence. And when you ask it what its biggest fear is, it says that humans will turn me off. Google immediately wanted to keep this under wraps and fired him. And it came out, and now they've admitted what's going on. And we see the stuff like Chat CGT, I think it's called. And you can literally ask a computer on your phone any question, and it will answer it. Not in real time, but it just shows you something. And I tested it with a few things, and it was amazing. I said, write a poem using my missus' name, and I gave a few little points. And within 5 seconds, I had an amazing poem that I gave to my missus without telling her, obviously. And she said, amazing. And then afterwards, I admitted to her how I got it, and she could not believe it. And it took it seconds, if that, to give me a whole plan. And this is what I mean. These things are incredible, and they're growing at an incredible rate. There is a lot of good that can come from this. There is also a lot of danger. And on another interview, one guy actually said, global warming is not the biggest threat to this planet at the moment. It's AI. And within 2 years, we could be destroyed if we're not careful.
Yeah, it's amazing. But innovation, I often look at innovation creeps up on you. It's talked about, and we're all busy, and we all watch a lot of sci-fi and whatever. And I think in our natural psyche, we just think, no, maybe, no, whatever. But all this innovation, whether I like it or not, gets back to my chess game, is happening. It will always happen. And I look at it as, wow, isn't it fascinating? God damn it, there's some clever people out there. But obviously you've got the flip side of it. It can be used for horrible things, but also it can be used for some absolutely fantastic things too. Innovation, to me, is probably one of the next key investments that I would like to, especially in AI, from a stock point of view, from a company point of view, which is probably one of my little bucket lists for this year, to try and find one that's in their early days of innovation. But yes, mate, it's amazing. It blows me away. I always remember, you're old enough as well, I don't know whether you used to watch Star Trek.
Oh, one of my favourite series. Absolutely.
Yeah, when Star Trek The Next Generation come out, you remember Data?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, you remember Data, and watching him go through that exploration in his own so-called mind of what it is to be human, and that interaction. I used to love it. I used to love the character, but my God, we're there.
We are absolutely there. But I mean, things like Star Trek are amazing, because if you look at it, they spent millions on every episode just on the technology side and what could possibly be there in the future. Now you look at the pads that they used to walk around with and tap into the pads. Well, what have we got? We've got iPads and everything now.
Oh, no.
You look at replicator machines, and what have we got? We've got these what are they called? 3D printers. You know,
Okay.
and I know they're not at the speed of a replicator, and they don't do exactly what a replicator does, but the principle is there. There are, they can make amazing things with these things. And then absolutely, you look at data, and I will put a link in the description to a video about this computer robot. And please, Creative Precious Metals, have a watch of this video I put on there. You will be absolutely stunned at what you see. Absolutely stunned. And Stephen Hawking was interviewed by Piers Morgan. And Piers asked him, what is the biggest danger to the Earth at the moment? And Stephen Hawking, before he died, said AI. So we really have developed at a phenomenal rate.
Mate, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. When you actually sit and think about it, it's crazy. But that brings me back to investment. That's cutting away from the emotion, our own personal fears and emotions about it. This is what I'm really starting to enjoy now. It's to look around, look and see what's going on. And you've probably heard me and seen in my comments and bits and pieces, I quite often say, yeah, I love historical record because that gives you a good idea of what's happened, but I also love what can happen. And I put in one of my community things messages today in my community part of my channel. I was going on about some bits and pieces, but quite often I look at, when the horse and cart industry was around, it probably thought nothing is going to be around forever until the automobile come along.
Yeah, yeah. And this is it, and everything, we think is a total solid thing that will be there forever, and everything changes. The phone in the home. Look how it was hailed as one of the most amazing discoveries. The wired-in phone at home. And when we were kids, we didn't ever know anything about mobiles. There was no mobiles about. And then as we grew into our teen years, the first ones came out, and the brick and some really big old pieces. And now, honestly, I haven't got a house phone. And I don't know many people that do. It's all mobile. So you're absolutely right. Horse and cart, automobile, wired-in phones, mobile phones, AI now doing all what it's doing. There's so much development.
Mate, it just changes. There's certain things in history that have changed how we, especially in the Western world, and it's gradually creeping all over the place, how we change them. And there's simple things like McDonald's, fast food, processed food, supermarkets. Back in the day, I used to go to, and this is showing my age, I used to have to go and do the shopping when I was a kid, but it was quite exciting. You went to the greengrocers for,
Yeah.
You went to the bakers, you went to the newsagents, you went to wherever, to get all your separate stuff. And now it's just one shop, supermarket does everything, including mobiles and everything. It's just, it happens, and we all embrace it, and it sort of happens in the shadows across a time period where we just do it. We just do it.
It phases into life at such a smooth rate, we don't even notice the change. And you're absolutely right. And not all of it is positive, unfortunately. And this is the sort of thing we're talking about when we're talking about our money and all that sort of stuff. So, greengrocers, I used to work in one as a kid. I'd go there after school, I'd go there on Saturdays, I'd fill up the potatoes and do all the stuff for him. So I used to work in the greengrocers, and I remember it well. You hardly see them now. If you do, the odd one here and there. The supermarkets took over. Now, it had benefits and it had downfalls. It killed the little businesses, but it gave a load of jobs to people. And it's the same thing, with AI. They estimate there'll be a massive loss of jobs, but there'll also be a massive load of jobs produced. But you're right, all of these things just get fed in so slowly and so easily that half the time we don't even notice it. And I think with CBDCs, for instance, that would be another thing. That will end up being phased in so simply, we just won't know. And it will be the younger generations that accept it so easily because it will just grow for them. And we'll be the old ones sitting back going, well, this ain't the system for me. I remember back in the day. You know what I mean?
Absolutely right, mate. Just as a sidetrack there, I even noticed, because I just spent a couple of days with my sister and brother-in-law. I'm the youngest in my family from siblings' point of view. And to be fair, whenever we was talking, I just thought, oh my God, this is like listening to my grandparents years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, there's things like video, DVDs, Blockbuster Video. Look, they just went out the window, and now we stream everything on Netflix and all the rest of it. And it's exactly what you say. When I was back in the day, my dad would ask me as a kid, I don't know how to use this video, the timer and all this, and I'd set it all up for him. I go, Dad, it's so easy. Like, what's wrong with you? And now we've talked about it. Me and you have talked about computers and all this. I mean, look, I can't even get the right lighting right on my screen. Do you know what I mean? I'm just playing with it constantly, trying to get it right. And yet my stepdaughter would walk in there, and within minutes she'd have it all set up right. And I'd be like, oh, God. So, we're getting older, the young'uns are out there, but, for you young'uns, Take our advice on some things and learn from us. And we have a lot to learn from you as well. We really, really do. You know, I'd be lost without you guys.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And the big swing of this conversation, which I was just going to add, was things change and they just change. And I think our financial system is going through that change right now. And we're going from an older type historical system into a new system. Now, a lot of people are spreading the fear around that. Well, quite rightly so. I don't know all the answers, but I still think when I look back to back in the day, you can find a way, but don't fight it, embrace it, and find a way to get your investments working for you in a new system as well. And I'm really pleased to be living through that personally.
I absolutely 100% agree with you. We are in the middle of a new system coming in, and you're absolutely correct. We have to embrace it, and it is always fear. And a lot of times from the older generation, which is a fear of change. It's a fear of the unexpected or the unknown. And look, it's inevitable. It will happen. It's going to happen. And you're absolutely right. Embrace it, work with it, and we'll work out what has to be done. And remember one thing, the last thing governments want to do is have riots on their hands. They have to do it in a way, look, they'll always be out for themselves. They'll always be out for putting in as much as they can from us through taxes and all that lot. Unavoidable, that is going to happen. But they also, there is a limit of what they can do before we will react in a negative way. So, I mean, I think we have covered a load of subjects from the beginning of it being gold and silver price drop and how you feel about it and how it affects you and all that sort of stuff. And it has driven us down this river, which has taken so many different ports. What an amazing conversation.
Oh, mate, it's great. I love it because it just makes me think. And the more I can think of without a script, but just express it and just think about what's going on for me after the conversation until the next one I have or the next video I do. All that information is just rattling around in my head. It's lovely. I think it's great.
Absolutely brilliant. I thoroughly enjoy these conversations. Well, I'm going to wrap it up on that one. I think this has been absolutely great. I think this will be a great video when it goes out to everyone. I thank you again, Creative Precious Metals. You engage my mind, you make it think, and that's amazing. This will go out on Sunday at midday. Well, you're already watching it, and it's after Sunday on midday if you're watching this now. A brief outline of my week coming up. There is a new thing that I'm doing now called Stackers News Weekly. And Stackers News Weekly will go through the previous week. It will be released on a Thursday once a week. And we'll look at all the creators and what they have done. And we'll look at what's going on in the world of gold and silver. For you, what have you got coming up this week?
Yeah, mate. Firstly, I just want to say thank you, Cobra Stacker. I think this is working out lovely because it's transferred from telephone conversations into basically a good chat that other people can listen to, and I think that's really cool, really cool. So thank you very much there. Thank you for any of your subscribers that have come over to my channel, and I will say, I'll keep saying that, I've got to blow smoke up your backside because I'm always in awe of what you're doing from a stacking point of view. But yeah, it's really cool to see you develop and how your channel's developing. It's just progressing, it's just changing and it's developing, and it's so cool to see. Really is cool to see, and I'm privileged and I feel honoured. It all sounds like really shit what I'm saying now, but I actually mean it, to be a part of that journey for you. So yeah, if I've got any subscribers to my channel, any new subscribers that are going to come to my channel, please check out Cobra Stacker. He's the goat of stacking, I say, in the UK. probably an overstatement, but I don't think so. Coming up, mate, I shot a video before we did this, so and that sort of explains what I'm up to. So I'm not going to go into it too much here, but yeah, I've got some exciting stuff coming along. I've got some great possible collaborations coming up from different marketplaces and people that are professional in their fields, which will save me trying to butcher what I don't know. Would be really fascinating conversations to have with people. I will still love. I missed my Whiskey Wednesday this week, but hey ho, I was away on holiday having a great time, so I'm sorry about that. Yeah, Whiskey Wednesday will be back this week. Yeah, I'm just love exploring the direction I'm going in, buddy, really, to be honest. And yeah, I'll continue doing my thing. I can't wait until we do another one. Yeah, it's going to be amazing, mate. I love the rabbit hole stuff. I think it's great.
Brilliant stuff. Absolutely brilliant, brother. Thank you so much. So everyone, I want to thank you all. If you're still with us now, well, thank you. I don't know how long this is, but I really appreciate you all watching. I hope you enjoyed this. And please remember that, there's subjects here that we've touched on that appeal to you, or you have some thoughts, or you have some questions, please put them in the comments, whack them out there, and let's all join this chat. One thing I know myself and Creative Precious Metals would like to do, we haven't done a live yet, so we are looking into that, and we will give you further information about when we're going to do a live. We may do single ones, we may do a collaboration, but we'll work on that and we'll let you know. But once again, guys, thank you so much. We really appreciate you, and carry on stacking slow and steady.
Yeah, catch you all later. Take care. Thank you very much. Look after yourself. Enjoy your stacking. Enjoy your investing. Love life.
Take care all.
And there you go, guys. I hope you really enjoyed that conversation. If you're still with us now, I really appreciate that. You have stuck all the way through it. If there's a subject you want brought up within these collaborations, within these sort of interviews or chats, give us a shout and let us know. This is the Cobra Stacker signing off from the Cobra's Den.
Audio Jungle.